era introduced meat and bread. Rome introduced a much more fine dining with bread and meat and wine. Roman Empire. Empire's enormous expansion which exposed Romans to many new provincial culinary habits and cooking. London. The history of Britain has played a large part in its traditions, its culture, and its food. Europe. During the 1500s and 1600s, European traders brought back all kinds of new foods from places they sailed to around the world. United States. American cuisine was influenced by Europeans and Native Americans in its early history. 1834, Delmonico's. New York's first a la carte restaurant on 2 South William Street favored French cuisine, cloth-covered tables, and a printed menu designed by the first-star chef Charles Ranhofer. 1904, Hamburger. The world's first hamburger was served in Athens, Texas. First root beer. Roy W. Allen opened his first root beer stand in Lodi, California on June 20th. It was a hot night that coincided with a citywide party celebrating the homecoming of local World War I heroes and partnered with Frank White.
Family or commercial restaurant. Usually meat and potato yung ino-offer nila since may mga bata. And alam naman natin na ang mga bata ay masyadong mapili sa pagkain, kaya yung mga menu nila rito is yung familiar lang. And then, yung presyo dyan is affordable ng isang pangpamilya. May parking sila since alam naman natin na ang family ay dumarating sa mga family restaurant ng nakasasakyan. Normally located sila sa residential area and highway. One of the example is Dad's and Mom's Restaurant sa Pasay. Coffee shops. Characterized by fast food service, decor is simple. Siyempre, ang mga pumupunta dyan ay mostly estudyante at mga nagtatrabaho sa office. Kaya kailangan yung ambience is tahimik lang na kung saan pwede sila mag-chill and relax habang ginagawa nila yung mga bagay na kailangan nilang gawin. Yung staff nila is konti lang. Yung oras ng bukas nila is early morning to early evening. Take-out service also offered. Usually located sa mga school or office. One of the example is Starbucks, Coffee Project, and Coffee Bean. Cafeteria, also called canteen. Self-service and limited lang yung mga menu nila. Nakadepende yung operating hours nila sa school or office na kung saan sila nakalocate. Pwede rin sila sa shopping center, airport, or highways. Beer and wine may be offered, and fast service ang kailangan. One of the example is yung canteen natin sa may engineering building, kaso wala silang beer and wine since sa school siya. Ang pangalawa na example is yung sa mga mall, which is tinatawag natin silang food court. Gourmet restaurant. Sila ay may pinakamahal kumpara sa ibang restaurant. Usually, yung pumupunta dito is yung mga customer na matataas ang standard sa restaurant. Kaya yung decor nila ay expensive, hindi basta-basta. Since yung customer ay may mataas na standard na afford magbayad ng mahal. Yung presyo dito is yun nga, expensive. And yung menu talagang pinag-iisipan ng mabuti dahil yung customer ay may mataas na standard. Kaya yung staff nila ay talagang tinetrain at sinisigurado nila na alam yung gagawin sa mga menu nila. Usually, yung operating hours is panggabi. Yan, fancy food, high quality ingredients and menu, and class restaurant. Ethnic restaurant, where food of some ethnicity served. It can be Chinese or Japanese. Yung decor nila ay match sa ethnic food na sinaserve nila. Yung nagpe-prepare ng food is well-trained at may alam doon sa pagkain na niluluto niya. Price range is mataas since ethnic food nga siya. Then wine, beer, liquor may or may not serve. Location variable. Operating hours is evening.
Fast food is a type of mass-produced food designed for commercial resale and with a strong priority placed on the speed of service. The fastest form of fast food consists of pre-cooked meals kept in readiness for a customer's arrival with waiting time reduced to mere seconds. Nowadays, people are very busy on their daily basis, so they prefer fast food. The example of fast food restaurants are Jollibee, McDo, KFC, and many more. Deli is a short term for delicatessen, which originally referred to fine foods like delicacies. A deli is a market where you can buy prepared food or shop for staples including meat and cheese. A store selling foods already prepared or requiring little preparation for serving as cooked meats, cheese, and salads. Buffet restaurant. By definition, a buffet is a meal where a variety of dishes set out on a table or sideboard. A buffet is a system of serving meals in which food is placed in a public area where the diners serve themselves. They are offered at various places including hotels, restaurants, and many social events. Buffet restaurants normally offer eat-all-you-can food for a set price, but some measure prices by weight or by number of dishes. Transportation restaurant. It cannot be denied how we Pinoys are always on the lookout for new whereabouts, Instagrammable places, and theme restaurants. In these type of restaurants, they will literally take you on a ride to travel with these transportation theme restaurants. It can also be found at bus or air transpo. These restaurants can be quite profitable if the market can be maintained. They require special cafeteria or buffet type facilities so that the arriving groups can be served quickly and continue on their journey.
Franchising. But first, let us define it. It is the right or license granted to an individual or group to market a company's goods or services in a particular territory. Franchise restaurants are a major component of the food service industry, particularly in the fast food sector. Franchise restaurants can easily get financing from lending institutions than independent ones. In the early days of franchising, the common practice was to sell individual franchise rights for a single restaurant. At present, a regional franchise has become popular with franchisees and franchisors. A regional franchise allows a franchise to develop multiple outlets within a specific geographical area. It could be a city, state, province, a major part of the country, or the whole country. For example, is yung sa Wendy's sa US, nagbibigay sila ng territorial rights para sa Canada para sa Wendy's restaurants operations. Franchise restaurants includes fast food chains like McDonald's, KFC, or Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut, A&W Root Beer, and Burger King. They also include dine-in restaurants like Wendy's, Pizza Inn, and carry-out establishments like Orange Julius. The most common is fast food franchise. They also included Denny's Steak, Alley, and Victoria Station as one of the table service restaurants. Buffet-style restaurants are also a part of the franchise ones. For example of this is Bonanza, City Buffet, Tongyang, Sambokojin, and these table service and fast food restaurants have reached different countries and is spreading up until now.
Food cost percentage. Food cost percentage is often used to measure a restaurant's marketing success. It is determined by dividing the food cost for a period, a day, a week, a month, by the sales for that same period, then multiplying it by 100. For example, if the cost of the food for 1 month is 40,000 and sales is 100,000, the food cost would be 40,000 divided by 100,000 times 100 equals 40%. Many restaurant operators strive for a 40% food cost to make the restaurant more profitable. Gross profit. Gross profit is the selling price of an item less its food cost. For example, item number 1, cost price $4, selling price $8, cost percentage 50%, gross profit $4. Item number 2, cost price $1, selling price $4, cost price 25%, gross profit $3. It would be better to sell item number 1 rather than item number 2 since item 1 has a higher cost percentage and a higher gross profit, hence, a contribution to net profit than item number 2. For each item 1 sold 50% food cost and there is a $4 gross profit compared with $3 with item number 2.
Labor cost is a sum up of all wages paid to employees as well as the cost of employee benefits and payroll taxes paid by an employer. Next thing is average guest check. It is the profitability measure used in restaurants. In a nutshell, the average check is the average transaction amount that calculated by dividing the total number of guests that can be measured daily, weekly, monthly, or year over year.
Break-even point is that point at which business will make neither a profit nor a loss. You might be an expert in management, staff training, and menu engineering. But do you know how to calculate break-even point for your restaurant? Not all restaurateurs are business experts right out of the gate, and that's okay. What matters is the willingness to learn. Your fixed costs include expenses that must be paid regardless of production or sales volume. A few common fixed costs include heating the ovens and powering the walk-ins, occupancy expenses like rent, insurance, and property tax, communication tools like a phone system and internet, licenses and permits. Variable costs vary in proportion to production. Your variable costs also take into consideration anything that gets more expensive as a result of more business. Variable costs may include food and drink costs, cleaning supplies, disposables and garbage bags, credit card processing fees, and labor costs. Mixed costs. An example of mixed costs is power and water, which may vary month to month. Also, break-even point is a key figure in operating a restaurant, referring to the amount of revenue necessary to cover the total fixed and variable expenses. Some methods of calculating break-even point can be quite subjective. Your break-even point helps you understand how many people, based on a determined average price point per guest, your restaurant needs to serve in order for the business to make money. Menu. The word menu, like much of the terminology of cuisine, is French in origin. It ultimately derives from Latin minutus. In a restaurant, a menu is a list of food and beverages offered to customers and the prices. A menu may be a la carte. Menu also determines the equipment needed and the investment required. Lastly, the menu estimates the cost for uniforms, purchases, storages, and space and the actual food cost.
Airline catering. Airline companies spend billions of dollars every year for food purchases. The average cost for airline passenger is between $1 and $7, depending on the length of the journey. The amount is less for shorter trips, since the passenger may be offered only a non-alcoholic beverage and snack. For longer trips, at which 2 or 3 meals may be offered including alcoholic beverages. The amount is higher, around 3 to 4% of an airline's total cost is spent on food. Food quality. The main problems of airline companies is to cook the meal on the ground and serve it several hours later in extraordinary dry cabin atmosphere. 7 miles high to different groups of people with their own food preferences, whose main motivation is to travel rather than to eat. Logistics. To produce hot meals, the airline companies have to prepare recipes, ingredients, cooking methods, and temperature and labor for each flight. These require a forecast using the actual passenger reservation for each flight, including an allowance for standbys and last-minute reservations in order to have the correct materials, equipment, and food production staff for each shift.
Airplane galleys. First, galleys means kitchen or a compartment of a ship, train, or aircraft where food is cooked and being prepared. The first airplane galley was designed in 1936 by Douglas named DC-3. After World War II, larger airplanes have oven and refrigerator on board. Flight kitchens. First airline flight kitchen was opened in late 1930s near Washington, D.C. Hoover Field Airport by a gentleman named Marriott. He had a restaurant near the airport, and he noticed that passengers would go to his restaurant to eat because no meals were served in the airplane. Then he approached Eastern Air Transport, also known as Eastern Airlines, and he offered to prepare lunch boxes. In the present, Marriott in-flight services have 100 flight kitchens around the world, which cater to 150 different airlines and serve 100 million meals a year.